If Gomu Gomu no Mi was so special, why did the world government not do anything from the very first time they noticed Luffy's devil fruit power? Good question. This is a question that all One Piece fans have wondered ever since the reveal of Gear 5 and Joy Boy and Nika. However, the answer to this question may not be so simple. So, I have a theory. First of all, besides plot, there really is a clear element of oversight issue on the part of the world gov. They clearly didn't take Luffy seriously enough in the very beginning. From the moment Luffy set foot in the Grand Line with a 30 million bounty on his head, they should have been on him. They should have run him down and eliminated him. But here's the thing. Nobody important within the Marines knew Luffy at the time, and Luffy has fate on his side. First time that the world govt, specifically the Gorosei, took notice of Luffy was in chapter 233. The 100 million bounty and the Alabasta incident is what alerted the Gorosei towards Luffy's presence in the Grand Line. Until then, Luffy was a small fry and simply not worth the attention of the Gorosei. Now, here's the first act of fate and the first act of oversight. At this point, the Gorosei should have immediately informed Imu about Luffy as the latest user of the Gomu Gomu no Mi. Why? Well, I think the Gorosei are old enough to have seen Emmett 200 years ago, but they are not old enough to have seen Joy Boy 800 to 900 years ago. Why? Simple. According to Emmett, Luffy looks exactly like Joy Boy, and Saturn didn't notice the resemblance of Luffy and Joy Boy, meaning even though he knows everything about Joy Boy, chances are that he hasn't personally seen Joy Boy before. So, among all the users of the Gomu Gomu no Mi in the last 800 years, Luffy is the closest to look like Joy Boy. Now that alone should be alarming, but the Gorosei didn't notice it, which is why these following scenes make so much sense now. Imu immediately recognized Luffy as the mirror image of Joy Boy. Because Imu has seen Joy Boy, he has known Joy Boy in his time alive, so he knows that Luffy is a genuine threat to his very existence. So the Gorosei underestimated Luffy at that time, and partly this was because they also wanted to keep the D name out of notice. Now, granted, there were other circumstances in play. In defense of the Gorosei, they were worried about Shanks and Whitebeard meeting, so they prioritized that over Luffy, which is fair. Luffy may be a threat, but he was just starting out at the time. Both WB and Shanks were already terrifying emperors, meeting over to discuss who knows what, so that clearly took precedence. Now, the most common pushback I get when I mention this is the fact that the World Gov sent Kuzan after Luffy after Scipia. But even when Kuzan met the Straw Hats, he mentioned chapter 319 to 320 that he came to check in on Luffy and Robin, and that the World Gov hasn't taken Luffy seriously yet. But what people most often also miss is this scene from chapter 303. It adds more context. The Gorosei didn't tell Kuzan to check in on them. He did that on his own, out of curiosity, because he had a connection to Robin, and he was curious about Luffy, since he beat Crocodile and was his mentor, Garp's grandson. And the Straw Hats were fortunate that it was Kuzan who came looking for them. If it were either Kizaru or Akainu, they would have been dead. Another act of fate. Now after this, Water 7 and the Inie's lobby incident happened. The World Gov didn't expect the Straw Hats to burn their flag, topple the island, and for Luffy to defeat Lucci. And the only reason all of this took place is because Kuzan informed CP9 about Robin as he left Luffy frozen on Long Ring Longland Island. So, this was a direct instigation on Kuzan's part, and the Gorosei had nothing to do with it. If the Gorosei had planned it, then they would have set a better trap, at least to catch him. And after it all happened, Sengoku sent the two people who absolutely did not want to catch Luffy, Garp and Kuzan. Neither of them cared what the World Gov wanted, and neither of them wanted Luffy to be caught. Another act of fate. Then the duel on Bonaro Island happened, and Ace was caught. Once Ace was in custody, immediately preparation for war against Whitebeard began, so the World Gov had no time to send someone after Luffy. Kuma stumbling on Luffy on Thriller Bark was sheer luck. Kuma was originally there to meet Moria. He had no intention of catching Luffy, but when the WG ordered Kuma to eliminate the Straw Hats, it was just pure luck that it was Kuma. After Egghead, we know that Kuma is a Nika worshipper and has always had a soft spot for Luffy. Now, this may not have been planned from the beginning, but it fits perfectly. Oda has made sure of it. Anyway, this is another act of fate. Then the whole Sabaody incident happened, which in hindsight is the best thing that ever happened to the Straw Hats, considering Kizaru's presence nearby.